And let's be fashionable. Welcome to the Fashion Icon. Once again, you wanted fashion, we're going to give you fashion. And today, we have another one of the team right here. We have David, who is another amazing producer. And so I hear he's also a designer. So, David, tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get into productions?
Started from the bottom, figured out a way to make my own lane, kind of. So we started with Tony Visions, and now we're here creating plays and opening platforms to everybody.
Cool. And what are some of the things that you're doing as a producer? I mean, how does it work? I mean, how's the whole thing about how you go about producing an actual show?
Sure, I think the levels are changing quickly now. The tides keep growing higher and higher, but in the beginning, it was kind of more like being introduced to fashion shows from having no concept of what that consists of, starting from doing hole in the wall shows, small shows, shows in all different states and cities, and then getting to the point where it's not a very easy community to get into without either a lot of money, knowing the right people. So we started kind of just producing our own shows, producing our own events, our own platforms, and being able to kind of break down that barrier. And we figured out how it's done, and then we just opened it up to everybody on that in that
And
sense.
what were some of the challenges that you faced, that you had to go through that barrier?
You name it, we probably faced it. Anything from not having power, literally not having power, to money, to just models not coming, designers, not enough monetary sponsorships. We didn't go to school for this. We learned it from the ground up. We learned it from the proper community, and I stand firm in keeping my door open and being able to have my door open to have multiple people come in. Either they learn something, they take something from it, they go, they take something from it, they stay. Just knowing that you have a wide stretch of a community has always been something that keeps the power going, really.
Okay, and one of the things that it kind of like I guess that you now value it more because you went through all those trials and tribulations to get it, and you're more I guess knowledgeable, and you can find how to tweak it to your own
Definitely.
selves. But I mean, where was your first breakthrough that you feel that that it's like, hey, I think we're gonna make it because this happened.
I would probably say one of the best ones on a personal level was probably doing Paris Fashion Week for the second time, and being able to go out there with a team of like about 10 or 12 of my people, and just being accepted in a room. We did a show like at the Louvre in Paris, and it was one of the biggest shows. I was actually just talking to a friend today about it, but that was one of the funnest shows. Being able to be there, genuinely produce my own collection and showcase it to the world, and then being able to bring that back under my belt to Miami, to South Florida, and continue producing shows as a producer as well. Having that on your resume, that kind of really helps solidify things.
No, that certainly is quite an accomplishment, especially for a young guy like yourself, and I can relate. I've been there, and some of
Yeah.
the times that in my younger years when I was kind of like trying to fight for my right to be in the
Yeah.
right place at the
Oh, we're
right.
still fighting every day. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's but at least now you're recognized. I seen to some of your shows, and you guys produce top notch
Thank you. Thank you.
shows, great quality. You have an amazing following of models,
Yep.
models that truly believe that you guys are giving them the opportunity. And talking a little bit about the models, what advice would you give a model that wants to get into the fashion industry on how to prepare?
If it's coming straight from us, hit up Fusion Fashion Events. That's the way to do it. We do everything we do to keep the community tight, whether it's photo shoots, community connect events. But realistically, the first step is always just taking that actual step. I think that's what holds a lot of people back, whether it's modeling, whether it's art, any aspect that it is. One thing that I learned through fashion was I started to sew. I bought a sewing machine and just sewed. That was my first step, and I was like, I actually like this. I think people tend to gravitate to what they're good at after they actually take that first step and give it a chance. Like, you wouldn't know if you're good at basketball if you've never picked up a basketball, and there's people who probably have never done something that they could have been great at. But if you have that thought in your head to do it, just taking that first step, whether it's reaching out to us or to another production company, to a designer, to just try something out, try to do a photo shoot, and if it's something that you like and it feels good, like you'll know, and God will provide the way to just keep going.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, I remember reading some of the books by Earl Nightingale back in the 80s and stuff like that, one of the great motivators. And they always say that 50% of your success is just showing up,
Yeah,
just
gotta
being
show
there.
up every day. Yep.
And, believe in yourself, even when no one else does. Like this podcast basically was like, my assistants pushing me. Baron, you have so much knowledge to share.
Yeah.
And then I said, well,
Share
I
the
have a lot
wealth.
of knowledge, but you know
Yep.
what? It's about bringing people like yourself that are, and I see myself uh, in you, and Chris before you, that young guys that they have a vision, that are passionate, they know what they want, and they just go for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it's very, very key. So now tell me a little bit about the production. We were talking before off camera that you're kind of like handling the backstage sort of thing to keep the flow of the show. Tell
Sure.
me a little bit of how does that all work, because to me it's
Yeah.
a whole mystery of how it all works.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was actually talking to my father the other day, and he's always congratulating me. He's like, he called me the other day, and he's like, I didn't realize that you have to put this whole thing together from scratch, because it's definitely a thing. But that's the beauty of it, bringing something to life from your head and to a table, to a whole venue and 1,000 people and millions of views. It's just a whole different process. But I mean, I personally am more keen on running itineraries. I think everything should be done to a certain way that everybody agrees on. So I love running the backstage, making sure that the show goes in a evenly flow. And from a designer perspective, I want to make sure that every designer that we work with and the models as well have their moment, as opposed to there's a lot of production companies where they just on to the next one designer, next designer, next designer. No respect for any of the models, no respect for any of the media. And coming from a humble upbringing from me and my whole team, we understand the need for having that moment. So we take the time to cater to each brand, to each designer, to any participant, each sponsor, to make sure that everybody's happy, everybody's getting what they agree to, and that ideally, these are not just clients, they become part of our family in production.
And it's quite admirable, David, because even, it's like you keep on saying, and it's like you guys are so synchronized. I had the opportunity to actually see you at work, and and met you at a very brief moment, and Chris at the Hard Rock show.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like Chris was doing his thing whatsoever, and then you would come around and tell him what to do. He didn't even think about it. He didn't question it. He just went on out and do it. And it's kind of like you have that connection and synchronicity with it, which is quite admirable. And I'm so happy to see young guys like yourself, and as they always say, there's no I in team.
Yeah, not in a
Okay.
good one.
Okay,
No.
because that's the whole thing, is that you want to go ahead and work together, synchronized that way to make it flow. Now you were talking about as a designer. I understand that you also have your own designs and things like that. Tell me a little bit about what was your inspiration to design?
So like I said, I kind of just picked it up. I used to go from job to job, law firms, paralegal work, and things of that nature, and there's just no really stability. And one day I said to my friend, I was like, he had a little clothing company printing shirts and stuff, and so I just joined. And then I heard something somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but it's, if you're gonna sell something, you should know what it is and how to make it. So I was like, you know what? I have time on my hands. I picked up a sewing machine. And honestly, once I started sewing, months passed by, and I was just sewing every day, every night, taught myself how to. So I'm not a perfect at it, but I can get stuff to stick. I can make. I learned more and more as I go, and just learning that. And then I was introduced to runway shows. I was like, what is a runway show? I honestly, I didn't grow up like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer, this and that. I was like, what is that? Like a runway show? I'm like, I'm good. And then my first show was actually underneath the Hard Rock Stadium. It was a huge show as well. And I put all my jackets, this and that, on a bunch of models. And then watching the models go out and just feeling that confidence that it gives them, the power that it gives them. And then watching the crowd engage with my music, and everybody's just kind of coexisting at once, and it's through fashion. That's when I realized that my way to speak to people and to empower people is fashion. You know, some people do music, some people do art, and mine is just putting a jacket on somebody's back. If it's that simple, and that's what it is, and that's what it became, and 10 years later, here we are.
Well, one of the things that you're doing is that you're really empowering person, because a piece of clothing,
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
piece
look
of
at you. You look
fashion-
fly today. I mean, I'm sure you feel
and
good,
it's,
right?
It's just, it's just a matter of that, you wear what you wear, and whether it's Prada or
Yeah.
Shein, whatever it is,
Yeah.
as long as you feel good,
Correct.
and it's empowering you, that's what you're presenting, and that's quite admirable in your case, that you're making your mark in various way, and as a producer backstage handling everything, and I can relate to that because I'm pretty anal retentive about timing, and I value other people's time, and
Absolutely.
I expect my time to be valued. That's why whenever I'm in a photo shoot, I go crazy if someone
Yeah.
is late, because
Yeah.
of the simple fact that you're not valuing me.
No,
And
100%,
you're doing a
100%.
show, you tell the models be on time, they show up late. Basically what ends up happening is that they don't value your time, and at the same time, the next time they come around, guess what?
Yeah.
You're gonna say, nah, you know what, I really don't want to work with that girl
Might
because
come
of
late,
that.
might not even make it.
Yeah.
First
And-
impression's everything too.
True.
Yeah.
So, what are your next big, great fashion show overall for the company that are coming up?
Yep.
And when is are you going to be featuring some of your pieces in that show?
I'm gonna be showcasing in one of them. I'm not sure if my team will let me showcase in the other ones, but I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna be showcasing.
We can negotiate.
We gotta negotiate. We gotta make sure the money's right first. But like I said, it comes back to making sure everything coexists. So, for example, this year I'm doing a collection that I'm going a little more street couture. So I'm working on that. It's gonna be catered towards an amazing venue where we have supercars and supermodels, and it's gonna be
Kind of like an urban look.
yeah, kind of more of an urban swim resort. I'm going for like a Miami after dark type of vibe,
Cool.
as opposed to just very glamour, this and that. So on the May 29th, we're doing a show at Vice City District. We have a 80-foot runway that's painted like a street. There's going to be cars on the sides of it. It's going to be super cool, super culture. So I'm going to be showcasing there. It's going to be an amazing show, May 29th. Make sure to get your tickets for there. There's going to be also like 7 other designers.
Now,
we're doing,
I throw a question at
yeah,
you.
yeah. I'm about to go in full promo mode. My bad.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
Collaborating.
Yep.
Have you reached out to the Miami Grand Prix people and the Homestead Racetrack to maybe get some of those people
Not
involved in there?
yet. We should. I feel like right now specifically, we've got all this F1 stuff going on. I'm just, there's so many people we're working on with right now, but
It's just
I'll
a
make sure
phone
Chris
call
gets
away,
on
brother.
that.
It's just a phone call away. Because
It is. I think I
that
just passed by. That's not too far on here, isn't
right,
it?
no.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing is that I think that it will go in there, even if you can just get one of the drivers to show up,
Very true. Very true.
okay, and
Yeah,
just bring them
we-
on the
yeah,
runway with some of those hot girls you got going.
Absolutely.
I think that it will make a difference into it.
Definitely. Yeah.
The other thing, I'm a community activist in Miami. The other thing that I would highly recommend for more, I would say, recognition at another level would be to invite the commissioner in the area. Is it going to be in Wynwood?
This one is in North Miami.
North Miami?
Yeah.
Okay, so the city of North Miami,
Yeah.
if it's in the city of North Miami, they're very accessible.
Yeah.
They're very involved in the community, and you can reach out to the mayor himself, and you will find that are going to be, talking to you with open arms.
Absolutely.
They're very, very
Yeah.
engaged. I've done several shows with them in there, and they're very, very.
Okay.
Anything that highlights their community,
Yeah.
they're down to do it, especially if
Okay,
it doesn't
good.
cost them any money.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Good to know. Yeah, we're all about community.
No,
So
it,
we'll do
it's
that.
we were talking earlier. It's just about networking, knowing whose door to knock, and it's like
Yeah.
it's an 80 to 20%
It's a
ratio.
numbers
80% of the
game,
time
yeah.
you're going to be rejected.
Yeah.
20% you got to work for.
And it's a big world out there.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
yeah.
But as long as you have connection and like I said before, I kind of like see myself in you guys, young guys, making their mark, and you guys may not even see yourself or may not even value yourself the way that other people do. You guys are the talk of the town. I hear it from the model's perspective and from other people that are involved.
Yeah.
How you're making a mark and bringing stuff. You're bringing the community together
Yeah.
through the art of fashion and modeling.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate you
and
saying
those
that,
who are
yeah.
no, I mean I hear it. It's God's honest truth, and it's something that is commendable. That's why I was talking to Chris earlier about maybe going on there and do like an interview in the midst of the craziness. I want to put the
Ho, ho.
microphone in there,
You
and I
gotta do
want
that
to
with,
see the
yeah.
craziness going on, so people can do and then showcase the actual fashion show and say, look, this is what was behind the scene, behind stage,
Yeah.
and this is
You're gonna
what
have
they
to keep up with
produce.
us. I usually wear my
lot-
running shoes, so
Yeah, a lot of the people
yeah.
they're like they look at you and it says, God damn, look
Yeah,
Dave,
yeah.
he's,
That's,
he's got it all.
That's one thing I always love too, is behind the curtains, nobody ever knows what happens, and you learn that in theater shows and the behind the curtains. As long as everything goes in front of the stage good, nobody needs to know what happened. Nobody needs to know who was yelling backstage, who was crying, what happened, this fell. Nobody, because there's so much stuff that happens
Oh, believe
all the
me.
time, and things
Been
go
there.
bad. But if the goal is the show must go on, you know what I mean? Like some Moulin Rouge thing. The
Yep.
show must go on,
That is
no matter
correct.
what. And that mindset is honestly, I think, what helps our platform too, because people know that you can rely on us to produce what we say we're gonna do. I've been to shows as a designer. I don't even like going to fast shows anymore because they're boring. I'm ready to fall asleep. I've fallen asleep in front row and swim weeks before because it's so boring. It's just design, boom, no activations, no network, no sauce. We're here in Miami. We're from South Florida. We're natives to here, so we are literally like the only people that are actually producing big events here that are from here. So we know what the community needs and what they want, and we're bringing it at the most elevated place possible.
Now that's good to see, and I believe that you're given the opportunity to not only businesses, local businesses,
Absolutely.
to showcase their product, but as
Yeah.
well, I think that your biggest impact have been from. I mean, as an outsider, the opportunity that you're given the young talent models that are actually there, that they want to be part of this
Yeah.
thing.
And they know once they get their foot on the right platform.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
we've
and you
seen
guys are
models
doing the right
go
thing.
far, and it's beautiful.
Now,
yeah.
Someone, let's say that a model wants to be part of your fashion show. What is the process like? How do they get a hold of you? How can they submit photos, or do they need a
Absolutely.
composite? What's the whole process
Absolutely.
like?
I mean, the standard process would be get your comp card done, have a paper that's just all your information, your measurements, and 4 to 6 of the best pictures you have. Attend the castings, email the production companies. Me personally, I don't like being contacted directly. Don't go straight to. I mean, I know sometimes it's good to go straight to the source, but sometimes you have so many people, you're just gonna get overlooked easily.
And
But-
I'll tell your story
yeah.
a little bit. I'm full of stories.
Help me
guys.
out with that one,
Okay,
'cause
I'm going to
I
tell
don't
you
want
a
to sound
story.
mean, so
I had an incident with a client, and basically, it wasn't really my client. It was my friend's company. But a lady came in. She was all frustrated and whatever. He was really pissed, and she had a complaint and all that stuff. And she comes in there, I need to talk to the owner. I need to talk to the owner, and all of that. And the girl was, his secretary, Michelle. She was like almost crying. She's like, but how can I do, ma'am? She didn't want to talk to. So finally, he's, so okay, you want to talk to him? Let me get him. And says, what's the problem? So Rick comes out and he says, ma'am, how can I help you? This and that, whatsoever. And she said, yeah, I'm the owner. It's like, and then she started, okay, he stayed there, he listened to it, and then he says, okay, so do you want to talk to me, to the owner, or do you want to talk to the person that's going to take care of the problem for you? So I want this taken care of.
I'm using that.
Michelle, could you please take care of her? Because
so then it goes
at the
back
end of
to
the
start.
day, look, you were talking to me.
Yeah.
You thought you were talking to me. You were talking to Alex.
That's a good one. I've done that before too. Yeah.
And it's like, it's like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
I'm told what to do. I mean, I
For
hit the
sure.
road. I go to my assistant, and when I'm getting the places, I call Sue and say, Sue,
Yeah.
where am I going? Send me the address. Where am I? I'm just heading up north, driving, and I don't know where it is. She's the one that handles everything.
Yeah.
She knows where I'm supposed to be and all that. And so imagine someone as busy as you are reaching out to you. You may not even have the time.
100%.
So
Sometimes I feel
can
bad,
relate.
but it's like, especially
But
during the shows.
You have to go. You have to delegate. If you don't delegate,
Correct.
it's like I do tours. I do 3 cruises throughout the summer. I'm barely ever here. I go
Nice.
to North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama, Ohio, Connecticut, Rhode Island.
We gotta
New York
chill with you
Fashion
in the
Week.
summertime,
I do
man.
tours.
Damn.
I just don't have the time to be on the phone on social media.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I
That's
have
time
people to handle
consuming,
that.
for
So
sure.
I'm sure that for you guys, as many models as you have, I can only imagine how many
Yeah.
intelligent questions, not to say really stupid questions you
No,
get.
absolutely. You said it, not me. I'm glad. Thank you for
Oh,
that.
no. I
appreciate
say it all the time because it's like, just like the models, they come in, it's like, oh, no, I don't want to wear that. Girl, you're nothing but a hanger. Okay, let's be realistic. You're the model. You're gonna wear
I didn't
whatever
say
the
that, but yeah.
whatever the designer says. And
Yeah,
if you don't,
absolutely.
goodbye.
Yeah,
and the
there's
next time,
bigger
I'm
fish
not
to-
calling
there's
you.
bigger
Don't
problems.
come to the casting. You're not gonna be casted. You're not gonna be used.
Yeah.
I've let go of models
It's
in the middle of
unfortunate,
a
yeah.
photo shoot.
If you're hard to work with, I mean, we don't want to work with
No,
people.
and and what they don't get, Dave, is that you guys know your competition, and
Absolutely.
you guys talk.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I had this rough girl, they came in. Next time,
Absolutely.
the other
There's-
guy's going to
yeah.
say, you know what? She already had a history with these people. I don't want to use her. So
Absolutely. I
that's-
mean, just as models talk, designers talk, production talk. So, I mean, it's just being respectful in the workplace, just as any other place.
totally
and understanding
agree.
everyone's
Totally,
position.
Totally
so,
agree.
yeah.
And talking about that, about what advice would you give to a model as far as work ethics?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever plateau. Don't ever think that you're better than someone else. There's always someone looking to take your spot as soon as you step off that runway, and it's a friendly competition. But I mean, every day is a new day to get better. So just keep that energy organic and real, and you'll never fail.
That's the one thing that I've heard from tons of people that I interview, and that is being genuine.
Yep.
Being
I
genuine.
mean, being genuine. Like, my thing has always been transparency, and it gets me through doors, keeps me out of doors.
Anybody that
it
knows
works.
me, I mean, I'm a foul mouth person. I hold no punches. I call it how it is. I
Yeah.
call the spade a spade.
But when
and
it's love, it's real love.
it is. It
There you
always.
go.
It's always love, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's tough love.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we need to say the things, and oftentimes you're like, oh man, this guy, he's really not my friend because he's an ass. He does and that. My best friend.
Still says that.
Oh my God, she rags me to the ground. I hate her
Yeah.
and detest her and don't want to hear from her
Yeah.
for about 2 seconds. Then I listen. You know
About
what?
2
She's
seconds.
right. Let me think about that.
Nah, for sure. Every once in a while, being too transparent, you got to sit back sometimes. Like, maybe I could have said something a little different. Maybe I should have ate first. It is what it
It's
is.
it's
But-
the good old saying, sleep on it.
Sleep on it. Yeah.
Because sometimes when you make those really harsh decisions at the wrong time,
Yeah.
you tend to say the wrong thing. And
yeah, maybe you
know,
just didn't say it properly.
right.
A lot of
And
times, yeah.
unfortunately, what ends up happening is kind of like an attorney on a court.
Yeah.
And you know, he says something, and then
It's on
the
the record.
judge says, "Erase that. Don't
Yeah,
strike that from the record." You
Yeah.
know what? The jury already heard it.
Yeah, you're
It already
yeah.
made the effect that it is.
For
So
sure.
when you say something hurtful
Yeah,
to someone,
And we've had models do things that it's like, all right, clearly you're cool with not being here anymore, and then a few months later, oh, hey, what's up? She's back, he's back. But I mean, just being respectful, especially if you're trying to. I mean, these are work relationships. You can't treat it any differently. And a lot of times, people want to be very friendly, and there's always some reason for that. I mean, cool, we're being cool, but you know. We can't give favors out here. There's too much work to be done.
totally no, and
Yeah.
you know, and unfortunately, we are in an industry that you know people misjudge you, and we're constantly being judged
Always,
by the
yeah.
way we dress, by the way you know the things that we say. I mean, I have a closet over here of all that, and depending on who comes in, I dressed up and changed up because sometimes
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
coming in from a photo shoot,
Yeah,
and I'm
for
on,
sure.
I'm on you know
Yeah,
flip flops,
yeah.
and I'm all sweaty whatsoever.
it's
So
like,
I
how
gotta
should I
wash
look- how
up
should I
and
look for
change
this? Yeah.
into it. You know, it's like tomorrow I have a big event. You guys are actually invited to it. By the time that this happened, it's going to be too late. But
Yeah.
there's Tsuchisaki Minso or something like that in 50.
Love that spot.
Yeah, 5000 or 5000 Biscayne Boulevard. They're doing a reopening tomorrow night, and it's going to be an amazing free.
I'm in. That's it.
Go for it
Amen.
because we're going to be over there, and you know some of the things that we do. It's all about networking.
Absolutely.
So you
Network
know,
is your
I'm,
net worth for sure.
In closing, what has been your biggest accomplishments?
I mean, we've done so much. I mean, I feel like I'm already thinking in the future. I feel like this year is going to be one of the biggest years. So being able to get to this position I'm at today is my accomplishment. I already know. I feel everything just coming together. So, I mean, just being where I'm at today is my accomplishment because hopefully tomorrow I'll have a bigger one.
And what has been your biggest failure that you've learned from?
I would say opening myself to being more transparent and developing with a team. I did a lot individual growing up, and everything was usually just me. But giving access and letting the reins go to other people for other things has been proven to be very fruitful with the right people. And developing the proper team takes a long time, but you do it properly, it'll be very fruitful for sure.
Okay, well, once again, I want to go ahead and thank our sponsor, Mirta de Perales, because she's an amazing 15-year ride that she's been with us, and we're very, very grateful to her. And you heard it from the man himself. You have to be transparent. You have to stay true to yourself. And very, very, very much, there's always someone that you need. We all need someone in our lives to guide us, to give us kind of like that role model type thing that we need, and that is part of his success, having a very powerful team. So stay fashionable. Make sure that you visit some of these amazing fashion shows that are coming up. These guys are the ones that control Miami Swim Week. So stay swimming and fashionable. Thank you for watching, and make sure you hit that button to subscribe to Fashion Icon.
The perfect eye cream to diminish all your lines and your eye bags. The Collagen Elastin 3-in-1 Mirta de Perales.